All right. I just want to make sure that I to just pause and revisit how do we serve the community. And so as Yana mentioned, given that the pillars are empowerment, given that the pillars are collaboration, and given that the pillars are being an advocate for gender equality, we really kind of got to sit back and look at, okay, how do we serve these needs? And so part of doing these workshops is to be able to serve these needs that were maybe otherwise, there, but maybe we didn't always get to pause and really be intentional about it. So now the programming, I would say, is much more intentional and really to serve everyone's needs. So thank you for joining this workshop. And speaking of intentionality, as I was mentioning, I don't know if a lot of you have, maybe you've heard the word vision board or you've seen examples of it, and it's like, well, it looks like a bunch of images or a collage on a poster board or something of that sort. And what I wanted to help create today, and feel free to make this session interactive. So while you may be on mute now, I may ask you to participate, or you may want to participate and share something. So please feel free to. Right now, I think it's really important that we do have community, and I don't want this to be a space where, I'm incessantly talking and you're like, but I have something I want to say. Please do share it. That's totally welcome. And it's great to be able to share the expertise of the community as well. But what I wanted to begin with when we talk about the vision boarding and being part of drafting and creating that vision is, how do you be more intentional? So we're going to walk through the intentionality piece. And for that, there is going to be a piece of meditation, and there's also going to be a piece of journaling. So I hope you have your journals and something to write with, a pen or something nearby and handy, because I think that will be important in this process. Now, before we jump into any of that, I do want to take a moment to formally sort of introduce myself as well, so that you know who this person is. Now, this is obviously not me on the screen. That's Oprah. And this is also not me. That is Dr. Sanjay Gupta. And I'm sure if you guys have been following anything in the pandemic, you have seen both of these individuals, right? So you've got Oprah, you've got Sanjay Gupta. Now, the interesting thing here is neither of them are me. However, what I wanted to share with you is that just like these individuals are multifaceted, I am as well. So as Yana mentioned, I serve on the board for CODA, and I serve on that because I'm very passionate about empowerment. And I'm actually wearing a shirt that says Chief Empowerment Officer. That doesn't mean that I'm employed somewhere and that's the title they bestowed on me. That's the title I've chosen for myself because that's who I am in the world. And that's how I'm going to lead myself and my contributions. I was going to say career, and I wanted to be watchful of saying that, because it's not just about my career. It's about who I'm being and what I'm embodying in the world. And that's going to be part of the work that we're going to look at today in this workshop, is who you're being and who you're embodying, so that you're empowered in that vision. Now, taking a look at Oprah for a second here. So Oprah, she is a TV host. She's an actress. She's an author. She's an entrepreneur. She's a producer. She's a lot of things, right? She's got a lot on her plate. And that's just her, professional side that we know a lot about. Okay. And then we've got Dr. Sanjay Gupta. So now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is, he's a neurosurgeon, he's a medical correspondent, he's an author, he's a father, he's a husband, he's a son. So these are all things that I know from his social presence in the world of who he is. Now, if you think about it though, looking at them, it looks like they are many things, but I want to draw your attention to the fact that they are in fact inspired by a single purpose, a single mission, a single vision. So Oprah, for her vision and her mission is to be a means of empowerment through communication, right? So, as a host, as an actress, as an author, as an entrepreneur, as a producer, she uses her communication as her platform to be in service of empowerment. And then you've got Sanjay Gupta, who's a neurosurgeon, like I mentioned, a chief medical correspondent, and so forth. So his life is driven by the vision of being in service of others. And that shows up whether he's a father, a husband, a son, an author, a medical correspondent, or a neurosurgeon. So you can pretty much see that whatever that vision is that he's driven by, that trickles into every space of his life. So that brings me to, if I can hang on, get my screen to work. There we go. Okay, so that brings me to me. So my name is Ritu Mahendru, and I'm a consultant. I'm a vision guide. I'm an entrepreneur. I also do Reiki. I have been a TV host and film critic, and I'm also a writer. Now, I am all these things, and all of these things for me, what's central are people. So whether I'm doing consulting work in my professional life, whether I'm doing this work as a vision guide, whether I am aspiring to build my own platform through Vision Board Works, which you're, witnessing today, whether it was, my getting certified as a Reiki practitioner, or even the work that I did in hosting and film as a film critic, and now evolving as a writer, it's all in service of my mission to empower people. So the kind of work that I'm dedicated and committed to is empowerment of people. That's what's important to me. That's my guiding light. Like that's my, how I get to where I want to go. Because I have to ask myself and take a step back. I'm doing this. Does this feel like it's going to serve what I'm out here to serve? So that's just a little bit of, kind of giving you an idea of where we're going with this. Now, before I move to the next step, I do want to take a moment for us to ground ourselves. And that's important because before we get into this exciting phase of what's my vision? What am I here to do? And so forth, it's really important to ground yourself and to be really present and to get clear. So I'm going to request if you guys just get comfortable where you're seated. I'm going to get more comfortable too. And just join me in closing your eyes. And I'm going to lead you through just a small meditation and some breathing techniques. We won't be here too long, but we'll be here long enough for you to get clear. So, like I said, just sit comfortably and relaxed. And just breathe normally right now. Observe your inhale and observe your exhale. With your inhale, observe the rise of your chest. And with your exhale, feel it calming down. And as you're in this rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, start to bring your attention to the center of your forehead. And in the center of your forehead, imagine another eye, the third eye. And with your physical eyes closed, open this third eye. And open this third eye to see in front of you the vastness of nature. Now, as you're here, imagine you're on the hilltop of a mountain. And in front of you, you see limitless possibilities. There's an open space. You're at the highest peak of this mountain, and you're able to see the sky, how endless it is. And no matter how high you are on this mountain, you know that you can always go higher. And just like that, know that anything in your vision is possible. And as you stand here, taking in the beauty of nature, the earth beneath you, the sun shining upon you, the wind flowing across your face, the water in the horizon, know that you are made up of all these elements. You are grounded. You're light like air. You flow like water. And your heart is lit and bright like fire. Feeling this connection with the elements of nature. Start to close your third eye. And slowly start to open your eyes to be present in the moment, knowing that while you're present, you are still connected to the source of nature. Okay, just take a deep breath and let it out. And just join me back in this session. Now, it was important we took this moment to go on this journey because when you're in a space of creation, that's the key. You want to be clear. And so, what we did here right now was to get clear of the noise and remind ourselves of where do we actually get our energy from? Where do we source that from? And we source it from within, and also knowing that we are connected to nature. So, with that, I want to share with all of you moving forward where we're going to go next in this journey. So, where we go next is an understanding what a vision statement is. So, as I mentioned to you, while you were sitting there or standing there on top of this peak of a mountain and looking out at the horizon, at the infinite, limitless possibilities, um, you had an opportunity to get connected with how limitless you are. And in understanding and seeing how limitless you are, you could then get connected to what's important to you. So, I am going to share with you a couple of vision statements. Before we get into this, I want you to take just 2 minutes to write down what was the vision that came to you when you were standing and you were looking out at the limitlessness and at the unlimited possibilities that could be available to you as you stood there. So just take a minute to write that down, the vision that came during that time of connection. And if a vision didn't come, that's totally fine. What was the feeling that maybe came up? Was there a feeling? And just write down some of those keywords. So this is a workshop, so I am going to give you guys a minute here to go through that process. In this quiet and clear space, again, what came up for you? What is the vision? What are the feelings? Maybe some words, whatever it is. Now, as I mentioned, this feel free to use this as an interactive session. So, does anybody want to share what came up for them? Anyone want to take advantage of the community?
Hello.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, in terms of my vision, um,
Yeah.
I experience a feeling of self-awareness on top of the mountain, stability,
Mm,
very refreshing and very empowering. Because I was to the apex, I felt like I gained something on top of that mountain, not just height, but something inside of me gained something.
yeah.
Intensified, something enhanced. I don't know what it is, but I'm just sharing now. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you. That was really beautiful. The self awareness, the stability, the empowerment, and this kind of like what what else is there on this, like you said, on this apex. That thank you so much for sharing that. Um, so that's a great example of some things that may be important to you. So for I want to applaud you, Tracy, first of all, for sharing, because part of this work and helping the community is, working together and collaborating. And so by you sharing, that was really beneficial, I'm sure, for everyone else that's listening in, because it doesn't have to be a mapped out vision clear yet. What it can help you understand is, what are some things that came up that are important to you. They might be things that you have worked on, they might be things that you want to continue to work on and grow and water. And it could be things that you may want to seed. It could also be values that are important to you, right? So standing there and feeling empowered and feeling stable, right? Those could be some of your values that are very critical to you. So that was, part of the process in getting clear and getting clear of, like I was saying, the noise, but then also being able to understand what is that feeling that makes you come alive. And as you've taken these notes down on those, either the words or actually what came up for you in the vision, that's going to help guide some of what we're going to do forward. So, some of you that may or may not be familiar with CODA, um, CODA, I would say, has been in service of supporting female entrepreneurs. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, right, when you're thinking of a business, and as you can see on here, I have vision statements, and these are all from businesses. So when you're creating a business, you're often looking at what that vision statement is going to inform and how your company is going to proceed. Now, CODA has a vision statement as well. I know because we worked on it quite a bit. I know Yana had already obviously uh, planted the seeds, watered it, grown it, fostered it. But of course, like there was some tightening of the vision on what we wanted to serve. So here I have examples of companies that have vision statements that set the tone for what they're going to produce. Now, as I had mentioned to you, going back to Oprah and going back to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, I had said that Oprah, likely her vision is to be a means of empowerment through communication, because that's what she does through all of her platforms. Dr. Sanjay Gupta is dedicated to the service of humanity, and that's what he does through being a chief medical correspondent. He does that through the work he does as a neurosurgeon, and I'm pretty sure he probably does that for his family as well. So you can see that while their lives may be multifaceted, because as human beings we are not linear, we're not just a single line, we've got lots of things going on. And so similarly, if you look at these companies that I have named on here for, their vision statement, they do more than just one thing. Now, I don't know if some of you are viewing this Zoom through a iPad or through a MacBook or your phone, whatever it is, you might be using a different computer altogether. But here's the thing, Apple creates all of these things, right? And so let's just take a look at Apple's vision statement. So Apple's vision statement is to challenge the status quo, to think differently. And so that means what? In reading that, to change the status quo, to think differently, would you think they're talking about making phones or iPads or AirPods or all the, different gadgets that they have out there? Probably not. Okay. And yet that is their vision statement. So while they are a tech company and while they are going to create uh, products, their mission and their vision with these products is to challenge the status quo, to think differently. So, and here's the thing, I use the word mission, right? So a vision is like your guiding North Star. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. Your mission can be multiple things underneath it. So, like I said, Apple produces, this is Apple's vision statement, but they produce many items such as the MacBook, such as the iPad, such as AirPods, etc. And you go on, right? And then they have independent missions within each of those. Similarly, like I had mentioned about Sanjay Gupta and Oprah, they have visions that are their guiding North Star. And then they have a whole bunch of different missions, right? So, like Oprah is also big in the wellness space now. And so she's got a mission in that. And she's also, like I mentioned, an author, and she's also, et cetera, et cetera. Keep going, right? So now let's start to think about you and your life. Because here's the thing, when I declared that, I am the Chief Empowerment Officer, I declared that for myself for who I am in the world and what my guiding North Star is. And then from that, everything that I do feeds into the mission that I am then committed to. So, in that, I want to talk about how do we take ownership and be the CEO, the Chief Empowerment Officer of our own lives, right? And so here's the thing, that's we're going to look at what a vision is, and then we're going to draft your vision. Because then that's going to be something that reminds you of like, what are you here to do? What are you here to be? What are you here to commit yourself to? And in those times, like I think earlier we had come on and Tracy actually was sharing, like, oh, it's, you know, got to get back on track because, yeah, we're going through some global challenges. And yet we can still realize our visions. And that's what we need to remind ourselves of. In fact, I'm a good example of that. So I started Vision Board Works in December of last year, and I've been leading workshops from December essentially. Now, that's not to say I woke up one morning and I was like, I know I'm a vision board expert, but that was something that I had been tracking towards because that was just part of who I am. And I finally took the step in spite of a pandemic, in spite of the global challenges, because I knew that if I didn't do it now, then when? And if anything, that was the awakening of last year. If not now, then when? Right. So let's remember when we're doing this work that it's not a wish, it's a vision, and you have the power to will it alive. So here's what a vision statement is in very clear, plain terms. It's a declaration of what you stand for, defined by your core values, the guiding compass to your mission in life. And so Tracy shared with us when she was on top of that peak of the mountain, right? Self-awareness came up, stability came up. Uh, so, in looking at some of those and empowerment, like those could very well, like I said, have been her core values. And then there's, a little bit of that discovery part of like, wait, there's something more, just like being at the height of that mountain, but there was something more to it. Right. And so that's part of that discovery process. So, again, taking into account what came up for you in that particular moment, right? I would like for you to take a moment to think about what is your vision statement. Now, as an example, here is my vision statement. I am a force of nature inspiring others to step into their power. That's it. That's just who I am. And I'm declaring that, and that's what I am just going to be. Just be it and breathe it, right? So that's my guiding North Star. Now, that's not to say that that's going to be yours. Like what came up for you may be different. It most likely will be because we're all unique individuals with our own unique, you know, propositions and things that we're going to bring into the world or that we already may be. So, what is it that drives you? What is it that makes your spirit come alive? What is it that makes you say, yeah, this fuels me? Because when we have a vision that fuels our soul, then that's when we continue to find our, tanks be refueled. You don't go on empty because all you have to do then is like look at that statement and be like, yeah, I'm going to take a step to breathe it out today, but I know where I'm headed. So let's just take a minute here to uh, think about what it is that you'd like. Just take a stab. It's not like you write it today and like that's it. I've declared this. This is done. It may be that way, but if it's not, don't worry. Just take a stab at starting off and structuring your vision statement. That is your guiding light, your North Star of I am. Just declare who that is. I am, it could be I am stable, empowered, and self-aware. I am committed to self-awareness, whatever it is. So I just want to take a moment, like I said, a minute, and give you guys that opportunity to think about that. And if you need a minute and a half, I can give you a minute and a half too. Um, but again, don't overthink it. Just take a stab at writing something. And now at least you know the process and you can revisit it if you need to. Okay. Um, I'll give you just another minute. Uh, but just wanted to, if you're overthinking it, like I said, just write a couple things down. Don't get stuck in being perfect. Just progress. Progression is much more valuable than perfectionism. I know because I've been stuck in perfectionism for a while, and it took me uh, the pandemic to progress. Okay. Does anybody want to share? Don't be afraid. Uh, this is a safe space. Can be bold. All right, go ahead, go for it, Tracy.
Okay, this is my vision statement. I am committed to the playing field in 21st century education through self-development and improvement. This is only something I put together. I'm a teacher, and
Oh, nice.
I would like to empower my students. And my problem, not to say a problem, I wanted to open up a business, right? I'm struggling on how to write a vision and mission statement. So this was one reason why I decided to join your vision board, is to learn, bring some clarity, since you mentioned that word, into my vision and mission. So maybe afterwards we could talk. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I heard the word self-development, which I think, like I had mentioned when you shared about being on top of that mountain, was, what was valuable to you as far as your own self-awareness, right? And so it's almost like that is part of your vision, is how do you support others in their self-development and their self-awareness. um, and that can certainly serve as your guiding light as well. So yeah, we can certainly talk more about it. um, and hopefully that helped others. Now, the next piece of what I wanted to talk to you about before we get to the actual crafting of the vision board is the things that take up your mind share. So, um, there's a lot of elements that go into your life that are going to be important to you, right? So when we think about, first of all, that vision statement, like I said, is your guiding North Star. And then there's all these other things within your life that are going to become part of the mission in your life, because you're going to want to feed these things. Now, oftentimes, these areas that I have up here, physical, pleasure, financial, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, these are sort of segments I've created um, based on what I know people invest a lot of their time in. And uh, a lot of other, you know, spiritual and or otherwise motivational speakers will talk to it about as a balance wheel. I actually don't talk about it as a balance wheel, because one of the things that I discovered last year is that I found it challenging to have everything in balance. So having everything in balance meant that I was giving an equal amount to everything. And what I came to realize is that rather than being able to give everything in equal amount, I had to have it coexist in harmony. And that way it put less pressure on me to be like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm lacking in a certain space. So think about the things. Now, these are suggested areas, right? But think about the things that come up for you that take up your share of mind. Um, and what I'd like for you to do is on your notebook, and don't worry, I won't ask for volunteers in this space, but just write those things down. So write down physical, pleasure, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, financial, and you may want to break up pleasure in a different way. You know, it could be whatever it is pleasure for you. It could be socializing, it could be travel, emotional could mean something else to you, spiritual may mean something else to you, right? But just start to write these down. And then I want you to put 2 columns. And in one column, what you're going to do is you're going to rank how important these things are to you. So for example, like is you know, your physical well-being or your financial well-being, how important is that to you? And I want you to rank it from a 1 to 10, because that'll kind of help you break it out in terms of the percentages. Like I have it broken up, like, is it 10%? Is it 20%? And so forth, right? Now, that's just how important are they to you? How much do they mean to you? And then the second column, I want you to also rank them 1 through 10. And in that ranking, I want you to put down how much time you invest towards them. So, for example, if physical is, you know, important to me and I rank it at 35% or 40%, right? Like, or at a 4. If I rank it at a 4, and then I am, you know, saying that the amount of time I'm putting towards it is a 1, then there's a disconnect, because that's out of harmony. Because I'm saying that it's really important to me and I really value it, but the time that I'm giving to it is not very much. Um, so yeah, so let's just take a minute to go through this exercise. Like I said, list these things, or you know, you may have your own. Go ahead and list them down. And then in one column, rank them 1 through 10 on how much you value them, how important they are to you. And then in another column, 1 through 10, rank them by how much time you invest towards them. And
Rita,
don't
can I
worry
ask
about
a
it not getting,
clarification?
sorry, what was that?
Can I ask a clarification? Where do you put work in here? Is it under intellectual? Because I
That's
think
a
that,
good,
a lot
yeah.
of us spend a lot of time thinking about work.
Yeah, though, so that's a good point. Like, in fact, it's funny, Yana, that you spoke up, because I was thinking about like, where would you put, for example, the time that is invested in Coda Alliance and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, work, it depends, right? Like, so it depends on what that means to you. Like, does work fall under some of your financial goals, right? So, like, is that part of it? But intellectual in terms of like you developing and growing a certain mission or a vision, maybe that falls under intellectual. So these can kind of break up into how you want them to be. And like I said, these are suggested. So if they don't speak to you, you don't have to use them that way. You could break up intellectual as, you know, self-development, and then you could break it up as work. However you want to break it up. But That's a good question, because sometimes it gets a little like, well, where should it go into this thing, right? Um, it can be different places for different people. Typically, work does fall under intellectual, though. Unless you're in work that, is giving you your financial growth, then sometimes people do tie it under there.
So I feel like for me, it's shifted. It's been shifting in the past year
Okay. How so?
because I think work was 90% of my time.
Yeah.
COVID has changed a lot. But also, I mean, I think Tracy has said it, I'm in a position of changing and launching my own business
Mhm.
partner. I mean, I have one that has been up for 3 years, but I haven't had really a lot of time for it. But the shift, so I think now you showing me this, my mind and my harmony is in the same space, like where I'm going is in the same space. So I like
That's
this.
good. Yeah.
It never
Huh.
used to be because I was so focused on my job, right? Not on what I really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point is, when I had mentioned earlier that I was wearing this shirt and it was more about like who I'm being, and I wanted to be careful about it wasn't about my career per se, because sometimes what we're doing for our jobs is not always in alignment with who we're being in the world, which is also then another place to consider, is that something I want to move forward in, right? So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, thank you. I think I just want to take it to another level.
Yeah. Yeah, level up.
I think that I've done it for 26 years. I love educating children. I love doing what I'm doing with children, and families, but this like taking it a different aspect of it, especially because of COVID, you look at like things a little bit differently, and you always not to focus on one component of or one component of clients or just one client per se, but to really make it bigger and then to open it up a little further.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of opening things up and there being many components, I think this is kind of a good time for me to mention what I was saying about balance, for example, right? So the balance piece of things, we're always looking for that even distribution of weight. And essentially, it's a condition where the different elements are equal or correct in proportion. And that's, like I think Kim, you had said like 90% of your time was all work, right? And it's like you kind of got to realize that, okay, wait, that's not necessarily going to work. And so really, and what's great for you, it seems like, is that your life is in harmony. So harmony is essentially a pleasing combination of things that go together in accord with one another. And so that's why that even distribution tends to be a little pressure versus I think like the harmony. So work life harmony, right? Like now we're doing a little bit of a tango. Now we're doing a little bit of a dance. And so this exercise that I just had you guys do, which is, list out these spaces in your life, whether they're identified in this manner or you've expanded on them, and now put down how much you value them and then how much time you invest in them. That's kind of our wellness check. So just a wellness check. And is your wellness in harmony? And so in some cases where things have shifted over last year and you've been able to adjust to bring things in harmony, it's a good way for you to see if other things maybe don't bring you into harmony, right? And so now we think about leveling up. So this is where our vision board work comes in, because now that you're have looked at what potentially is your vision statement and your guiding North Star, and then you've looked at the different areas in your life that you are dedicated to, that are going to be part of the mission of you being able to level up, we now go into the creation piece of the vision board. So the vision boarding piece, when you're trying to create a intentional vision board, right? So that has to be clear on what is the intention in the space of your life that you're looking to level up. So whether that was, intellectual, whether that was financial, whether that was spiritual, whatever that area was, what is your intention on that space? So similar to what we did when we looked at doing the vision statement for your overall arching life, when you're looking at a certain space or a certain area of your life, then the question comes up, what is it that you're looking to create in that area? So what is your intention? So you want to write a statement on that intention for that space. And just be mindful that when we're talking vision boarding, vision boards are designed for the next 6 to 12 months. Now, I have something that I created that ended up being my dream board. So it doesn't necessarily have a time limitation on it. It's very big and it's very vast. And what you want to do with your vision board is be intentional about what are some of the things that you're looking to accomplish in the next 6 to 12 months. Then the next piece that comes into it is alignment. So as I mentioned to you, a vision board, you will be on your own, taking time out to craft it. And that will be getting images and or words. And so when you're looking for these images or words, you want to make sure that they are also in alignment with the intention of that space. So let's say your intention for your self-development or your self-awareness is to perhaps it's to join a course, right? And maybe it's specifically a course in I'm trying to think like in terms of like a self-development, self-awareness course. Maybe it's a meditation practice that you want to increase and take up, right? And so you then have like a vision of like meditation, and then you have a vision that now is in alignment with what you want to create in that space for self-development and awareness. And then you maybe have a word, and maybe that word is something along the lines of like, daily meditation, or like 5 minutes to breathe, whatever it is, right? So just as you're creating the vision board, intention, alignment, so the words and the visions that you're placing on that in alignment with that intention. And then I would take a moment to just kind of not even glue or paste or do anything with any of the images or words as you're starting to pull them onto a physical board. But really think about like, as you've kind of started collecting things, I would revisit them over the course of a week and just see if those words and images resonate with you. So when you see them, just take note of the feeling that comes up for you when you see them. And then ultimately, when you're actually ready to put things on your board, right, and like kind of glue it, paste it, put it together, does it energize you? Does it expand you, and does it excite you? So what you want to do is, like I said, make sure everything is intentional, but then ultimately, are you energized by seeing it, and does it clearly communicate your mission? And by that, I'll show you some examples as well. Oops, hang on, screen isn't moving. Second. I don't know why that's happening. Okay, there we go. So I will show you some examples of what I'm talking about, but really quickly, I want to walk you through a new technique that I want to share. It's not so new because it's traditional, but it is a great way for you to organize your vision and the spaces in your life that are important to you. So this is a feng shui of a vision board. And this is how you may want to consider organizing your vision board. So well-being and balance is the center, and it's the core of our existence. And that's why today's workshop really falls under sort of the Coda Alliance Wellness Initiative, because when we are well and when we are, although I talked about harmony, but when we are emotionally, physically nourished and feeling that balance within our own wellness, that's when we can really start to activate some of the other areas in our life. So this is where you would want to put an image at the center of your board that speaks to your spiritual, mental, emotional, and achieving anything that you want as far as your overall well-being. And then after that, to your left, you would want to organize and structure it so that you can put things that are related possibly to your family and or your physical health. So if there's something that comes up for you that you're like, you know what, I really want to strengthen and improve some of the family relationships I have, then that's where you would put that. And then above that would be prosperity and abundance. So as you're thinking about some images that reflect some of your material goals that are important to you, whether it's financial or it's, something luxurious or wanting to purchase a house or whatever that is, right? Like that luxury, those financial goals, but anything that really focuses on gratitude and self-worth that speaks to prosperity and abundance. And then there is at the very top center is your social image, your reputation, and how you want to be recognized by society. And I will show you an example of this because I have my boards complete to show and share with you. And then finally, over to the top right, is love and partnership. So if you want to attract love or if you want to enhance a relationship, or also let's not forget about self-love, so self-esteem, things of that nature, you want to remind yourself as well and put into that space. And then below that is creativity, legacy, and children. So anything that you want to expand creatively, start a new project. So, I heard some of you wanting to do more, right? Like level up in spaces of creating, maybe starting a new business or, working with kids, but how do you take that to the next level? So anything that's creative and an expression of joy would go there. And then finally, to the bottom right is compassion, travel, anything that you want as far as like identifying helpful people, maybe some people that are mentors, or maybe you want to travel and relocate. And then at the bottom is career and life journey. So our life's work, our goals. Now, that can, like I said, it may resonate with you if you're trying to make a full-on career shift and like a life journey. So focusing on your purpose, that may fall here. But if you're looking to do a venture and you want to expand it and it's more creative, or maybe you even want to just take up a new like learning project, that would then go under your creativity. So if you wanted to take, for example, like if you wanted to take up dance, that would go under the creativity space, right? And you haven't done it, that could go there. And then wisdom and self-cultivation. So this is an area where it's about education and self-growth and personal development. And I clicked a little too fast, but this is actually my digital vision board. And this buckets and shows some of the areas that are encompassing of what I just shared with you. So over here at the top, I have passion, purpose, possibility. So that's my reputation and fame. And then down in the center is my well-being, because I want all of my, it's kind of, to me, this speaks to all my chakras being aligned. And then on the bottom is like career. So it's taking a leap of faith, going from like being a small fish into, the bigger playing space. So this is just an example of how I created a digital vision board, and that's something you can do on Canva. And the instructions are here, and I'll ask Yana to share this presentation out with you guys after we're complete so that you have it for reference. And then this is, by the way, my dream board. Now this is a traditional board. This was just done on a poster board, and I went through a lot of images on magazines and I organized it. And this is before I became familiar with the Feng Shui vision board. So this one does not speak to that, but it does speak to everything that I'm committed to and that I'd like overall my life to be about. So in a nutshell, these are, the ways to approach the vision board. I do offer a vision guidance system. So I am doing, sponsorships where we've kind of touched on some of the areas, but if you want a little bit more guidance on like the one-on-one, then I can champion you through some of the areas that you're looking to level up. This is a smaller group, so this would be kind of something perfect for what we kind of have been, looking at in terms of a vision community where you're receiving kind of that individual support, but you also have a group. So it's about 2 to 4 people. And then I'm also offering continuous workshops. So the next workshop that I'm going to be hosting is on value discovery, and that's on Sunday, March 7th. So we'll dig a little bit more deeper into what your values are in that. So yeah, with that said, I think we're about close to a minute over. And I had said that we would get, done on time. So I do apologize for not being completely done on time. It is 12:02. And so I did want to kind of wrap this up and thank everyone for attending. And I know it was kind of a taste of what the vision board workshop is. And if you liked it, please do respond back to Yana. I think she's going to be sending a survey on this as well. And, if you'd like another workshop around on this type of work, then we're definitely happy to bring those forward to you as well. So yeah, and I'll stay on right now for another 5 minutes or so if anybody has any questions.